Okay, grace and peace, grace and peace. We're glad. I am glad that we're back. We're back. We're back. Do apologize for the delay. Had some technical difficulties, but um, we we are back. We're back on here. We're back live once again. We thank you for joining us. Thank you for making that decision to join us on tonight, whether it be here on Facebook or on um, here on Facebook, and then also here on um, on YouTube. Definitely, as I did say earlier, definitely go ahead and follow us on YouTube as well too. We definitely will appreciate all of you. We definitely will appreciate everything that you have done for us. Now, as you all are aware, we are currently in our series of isolation. We are in our series of isolation. Um, that we would deal with it every Sunday for the next 4 weeks. And now this is week two on isolation. And as we remember, when we first started our series, we did speak, we did talk about it, talk about isolation um, for an intimate portion, for an intimate isolation, coming from Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, where he said, when you pray, go into your secret place and close the door, which meaning not going into your regular, not going into your actual physical closet, but your permanent, but your spiritual closet. That way, he wants to get some intimate time with you. He wants to get some intimate time with you because when he does put you in places of isolation, it is there to get your attention. And how many know God will tell you some amazing things to put you in a place of isolation? And then, um, and then on this past Sunday, it was an informative isolation, which came from the life of Moses. We remember the story of Moses, uh, where he led the children of Israel for 40 years, getting them from Pharaoh's house, getting them from Pharaoh's hand into the promised land. It was at Mount Egypt where, even though he was not fit to still see God's face, because the Bible tells us no man has seen my face and live to tell about it. No matter how great he was, no matter how close to God he thought he was, he was still not fit to um, to see God's face. And he showed him. He gave him. He gave him a glimpse of the immediacy, saying that uh, he would not see the. Here's the promise, but he could not cross. Couldn't cross because of the disobedience and because he felt like the children of Israel kind of had his hand. But the children of Israel asked the question. We could have. They made the statement and the asked the question. But the statement was, we could have stayed. If this was gonna happen, we could have stayed in um, in Egypt. But he said, "Why would you let? Why would you bring the Lord's people to die in the wilderness? I'm sure they're hungry. They had, they were looking for water, and so God gave instructions to Moses was to, um, you know, here's the rock, and water will come from the rock. And children of Israel were not convinced about looking at this rock, so they still had noise to, they still making noise concerning the rock. So he struck the rock, even though that happened, that's a great lesson. You can still please people, but still have a repercussion behind it. So even though they did not thirst, there was still some repercussions. It's at Mount Nebo where um, where the Lord tells him, "Here's the promise: I'll let you see, but I can't let you." I would argue the fact that, as we know, Moses was 120 years old when he died, and I was looking during my study to see what kind of rebuttal, because that's strong. No matter um, as hard as Moses worked, he still could not reach what he had worked with. So I always have the question: um, what if Moses crossed? What if Moses crossed? I believe if Moses had a cross, um, if they had a cross with Moses, it still would have been questions. It would have been one more argument to have. It would have been one more battle to fight, one more thing he has to defend. But I believe in Moses' mind, Moses anyway, and he told him, and I believe he told him to just go ahead and let him have it. And so there are some, there were some informative, there were some informative, um, there was some information things, there were some repercussions that um, that came with this place of isolation. This was some places that there was some places, there were some things that he had to do in his place of isolation. And so, Pastor, what were your thoughts on Sunday? We said we were going to do a Sunday recap. So, based on what I said, what were your thoughts on that message?
I'm getting ready for your broadcast.
But what are your thoughts, rather, in an isolation, in an informative isolation? I guess I should have asked. In your informative isolation, what are your thoughts?
So I said, I believe last week, sometimes God has to get you away from the noise, your everyday life in order to deposit things in you that He really wants to deposit in you for His kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes while He's doing that, when Moses went from outside to get the Ten Commandments, what was going on
Right.
as God was depositing and giving him those commandments? What was happening down there with the people? They were
Right.
cutting up,
Yeah.
even in the midst of it and stuff. So he had to, while God is depositing something to you, sometimes there will be chaos in the land around you that you will have to get back in order when you come back from the part where God is depositing things into you. But it's important to have a ear that's receptive to hear what God has to say. I believe in this day and age that we're in now, when there's just so much chaos in this world. Every time you turn on the news, there's chaos, there's death, there's turmoil, there's wars or rumors of wars, and people are at an all-time low.
Yeah.
That God is going to actually have some of us going to a season of fasting and praying in isolation, so that He can really deposit the things in us that He wants us to give to His people, because people need to be encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be saved before anything. People need to be healed. They need to be delivered and stuff. And those things cannot happen until people are in a position where God can do it. They have to be able to hear from God in order for them to do those things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, so this, so as Pastor would say, that there are some times, there are some moments where isolation has to take isolation um, has to deal with some some things, has to deal with um, a lot of a lot of stuff, and it's not to kill you, it's not to break you, but it is to make you stronger.
Yeah.
It is to make you stronger. So, songwriter said, "Trials come that they might make you strong." Isolation, isolation is a good thing. I saw something on Facebook this evening. Even in marriage, marriage places you in isolation. You got quiet.
I'm trying to see where you're going with this.
It puts you in a place of isolation because all the time is that while you're nice to everybody, you talk to everybody, but you don't, or you shouldn't because of what your status in life is. So it's like a lot of times, and we said in the church, married folk have no business hanging out with single folks.
Mhm.
That's a portion of isolation. Why? Because whereas that single person has no accountability, whereas someone being married does. I'm accountable. So it's like I can't be out at 3 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the morning, and there will be no repercussion behind it. And same with you too. Especially if we're not together. You know,
Mhm.
so I'm at the age now. At 8 o'clock, I want to be coming home and not just leaving the house. And so when you're single, you have that kind of freedom. Did you like where I went with that?
Y'all followed you.
So, but but yeah. So pop. Um, isolation. We saw last week. We saw week before last. It was to get us closer to him. Uh, Moses' rendition was to inform us, and then this coming Sunday, it is a mandatory isolation where we'll be dealing with John at Pat. So if we remember, and I'm not gonna give it away, but I believe that on this end you can weigh in. Is that if we remember, John was exiled to Patmos for preaching the gospel. And so he did too much, he seen too much, he heard too much. His testimony was so great where he had to be exiled. Um, have you ever been in your own exile?
Yeah.
You've never been exiled.
Yeah.
You've never been exiled. You've never been in a place where it seems like, because remember, John was on Patmos by himself.
Mhm.
He was exiled by himself.
Mhm.
You've never been. Let's say it like this. Have you ever had an exile moment where it feels like you're on an island or an isle by yourself?
Mhm.
Because even though you've done, because remember, John has done nothing wrong.
Right.
And
I never felt like I
some
was
would
really
argue,
exile by myself. Never.
and some would argue, John, John, John understood, John understood the assignment. You know, he was to preach, he was to preach he was to preach the gospel. But then his his efforts cost him to be exiled. And then sometimes, in our lives, even when we do right, even though we may understand the assignment, sometimes it does cause us to be set. Now, it shouldn't break up a home, but when you're doing what God has called you to do, there will be some separation between you and whoever. Household should have a stand for, for God I live, for God I die. But then there are some that may be outside of your house, that may be on the outside of your circle trying to get in and still don't understand the assignment or your assignment. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to speak for myself
That's why I said, what are your thoughts?
because I've always had that. First, I always know that no matter what I go through, God is always there. So because I know God was always there, I didn't have to have a spirit of exile because I knew He was always there. But not only was that I know that God was always there physically slash spiritually, God gave me parents that no matter what was going on in my life, no matter the chaos that might have been around me, I knew all I gotta do is pick up the phone, send out a text. I need prayer. There's stuff going on that I really feel like I'm about to lose myself on. And I knew then that my mother was going right into prayer. And that comes with creating a safe space for each other because previous, I kept a lot of stuff to myself and tried to keep the peace. And there was no peace really. But now, yeah, at 50, I raised the roof. Want to let you know because holding in, I'm not gonna be tormented because of shenanigans. You know, can't sleep, just tossing and turning because you are just so upset about stuff that's going on now. I might not talk to you at that time because a person about to make the same mistake that I made, or follow the same pattern that I made, then it ain't happening. I'm gonna be honest with you, because like I told, this one of my sayings I tell all the time: experience is the best teacher, but you don't always. Decide what you take from it. This whatever applies, you apply. If you don't apply, let it fly.
Let it fly. Let it fly. Okay. Well, let's end it here. Let's end it here. How grateful we are to spend this time with us tonight. I look forward to seeing you on this coming as we deal, as we deal with contemplation. The good part of contemplation is we get to stand for that place at 7:25 p.m. Seems like August has been so long.
It does. It's like, seems like it's been fast in some aspects and like slow in other aspects. Still,
There's the boat we love, man. But those that can, those that will, really please tell yourself like that. Just sit there, like, like three money symbols in front of that, and then also Citadel. At Citadel of Life 3 at gmail.com. Citadel of Life 3 at gmail.com. Also, you can correspond with us through that same. You can read your email in a timely, in a timely manner. Once again, congratulations on being married to me. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah. Alan.
yeah, church first.
We do that first.
Family and Friends Day, morning start. I-70 North Garrison Avenue in Cape Illinois. 10 o'clock a.m. will be my guest.
You leave me?
I believe me and my bestie are doing a duet this week.
I'll be there. But once let's keep it present.
Yeah.
We what? You just said something. Oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. You too. Look at you. If it's delayed. I'm sorry. But let's keep in prayer. My former pastor, Pastor Brother lived Pastor on the road Baptist Church Purpose. He lost his mother on this week, over the week. I'm sure he'll be generalized in his hometown of Detroit probably this week or prayer in my service. Humbly represent for 8 served. Wow, served. Yeah, yeah, whole lot, whole lot of folks have left us, whole lot of folks that, whole lot of folks that have left us on just today, last couple of days. So we definitely want to be in prayer for those that haven't experienced this. Old folks say time is filled with goodness. Time is time waits for no man. Everyone is getting older and one thing I know, as you all know, I was home a couple weeks ago, took a picture with the associate minister there at United Pharmacy. I told Minister all these guys in this picture when I grew up. And either they still got hair or it's turned on them like mine. And it's good, good thing to do, see. But that's it. Because I'm hungry. I have to eat and ask for I am Bishop P.Reschard Terrell. Thank you.
Pastor P.
We like to thank you for joining us on I'll see you Sunday. See you Sunday. We'll continue our journey together. Till then.